The human base on Epsilon 9 was always quiet after midnight. Only the soft humming of machines filled the air, mixed with the far echo of the wind outside. Dr. Ryan Hale sat alone in the med lab, his tired eyes focused on the screen in front of him. The war had ended months ago, but its wounds still lived, not just in soldiers but in the air itself. The humans had won, but the price was high. Ryan was not a soldier. He was a medic, the kind of man who tried to save lives while others destroyed them. Yet tonight, his hands were shaking and his mind was not at peace, because lying on the cold medical bed before him was not a human. It was her. A small alien girl no older than 12 in human years, with pale blue skin that shimmered faintly under the lab lights. Her silver hair was tangled, her breathing shallow. Her species, the Xylar, were once enemies of humans. They were known to be proud, cruel, and silent. But this girl didn't look like any enemy. She looked like someone running from hell. Ryan had found her near the edge of the forest that morning, half buried in snow, bleeding from her side. When he scanned her vitals, he realized her lungs were collapsing, not designed to handle the Earth-like atmosphere that humans had made standard on this colony. She was dying slowly. He should have reported her. That was the law. No alien was allowed inside the human zones after the war. The galactic law was clear. No interference with Xylar survivors. But Ryan couldn't do it. He couldn't let a child die. Now, hours later, he was still trying to understand what kind of creature she was. Every time he tried to treat her, the medical sensors went crazy, as if her biology refused to be read. She had veins of light, not blood. Her lungs looked wrong, like crystal structures instead of tissue. Suddenly, the girl's eyes opened, glowing faintly violet. She looked around, frightened, then tried to speak. Her voice was soft, broken. "Please, don't hurt me," Ryan froze. The translator on his wrist blinked. It recognized her language. "I'm not going to hurt you," he said calmly. "You're safe here." But she didn't believe him. She tried to sit up, her small body trembling. Her breathing turned into painful gasps. "You can't breathe properly," Ryan said. "You need help." "I can fix this," she shook her head weakly. "No human can fix me. Please, don't lift my skirt." Ryan blinked in confusion, startled by her words. Why would I? Then he realized. The scanner patch he needed to apply was placed near her abdomen, a standard medical procedure. But for her, it wasn't just medical. It was shame, fear, something deeper. The translator struggled to keep up, but her next words chilled him. "If you see what's under, you'll break. You'll hate me," Ryan frowned. "I don't care what's under there, kid. I just need to save your life." Her violet eyes filled with tears. "Humans can't save me. You'll see. What we did, what we became." She coughed, making a harsh metallic sound, and faint blue blood dripped from her lips. Ryan didn't hesitate. He pressed the scanner against her chest, ignoring her plea. And then the screen flickered, showing something impossible. Her lungs weren't lungs. They were mechanical. Tiny glowing structures made of unknown metal fused into her body. Every breath she took came from artificial cores pulsing with faint alien symbols. Ryan's stomach twisted. He had seen war machines, he had seen cybernetic soldiers. But this was a child whose organs had been replaced by weapons. Her voice trembled again. "I told you, don't lift my skirt. It's not me anymore." Ryan stepped back, shaking. For the first time in his life, he didn't know if he had saved someone or uncovered a crime beyond forgiveness. Outside, the wind howled. Inside the lab, the girl lay trembling, half child, half machine, half mystery. And Ryan realized something horrifying. The galactic law wasn't about protection, it was about hiding this. Whatever the Xylar did to their children, the humans weren't supposed to know. The next morning, the storm had calmed, but Dr. Ryan Hale's mind was still in chaos. The images from last night wouldn't leave him. Those metallic lungs pulsing under the alien girl's skin. The strange glow, the way her voice cracked when she said, "You'll break." He hadn't reported her. He couldn't. The galactic law was clear. Any contact with the Xylar race must be reported within 24 hours. But if he did that, the girl would be taken away and destroyed. The humans feared the Xylar more than any other species. To them, they were monsters, not people. But as Ryan looked at the small figure lying on the medbed, he couldn't see a monster. He saw a child. Her breathing was uneven but stable. The metal implants inside her chest hummed faintly, glowing like tiny stars. Ryan sat beside her, thinking. He couldn't help but ask himself, who would put machine parts inside a child? And why? He checked the data his scanner had recorded. The readings didn't match any known technology. The material wasn't human or Xylar, it was something else. The file name automatically saved as Forbidden Type Unknown Core. Ryan felt a chill. The system itself refused to analyze it. Suddenly a weak voice broke the silence. You're still here. Ryan looked up. The alien girl was awake, her violet eyes watching him carefully. Of course, Ryan said softly. I told you you're safe. She blinked slowly. You shouldn't have looked. Ryan sighed. You were dying. I had to. The girl turned her face away. Now you know what they made me. The humans. They'll kill me for it. Ryan frowned. No one's going to kill you. You're just a child. She looked back at him, her voice trembling. You don't understand. I am a weapon, Ryan froze. The words hit him like a punch. The girl continued. The Xylar lost the war. Our leaders built new lungs. Machines that breathe poison, radiation, anything. We were meant to live where others die. But the cost, it changed us. She pressed a small hand to her chest. It made us something not alive. And not dead. Ryan felt his heart tighten. He had treated soldiers before. Men who lost limbs replaced by metal. But this was different. This was life stolen before it could even begin. What's your name? He asked gently. She hesitated, then whispered, Laura. Okay, Laura, Ryan said. I don't care what they did to you. You're not a weapon to me. You're someone who needs help. Laura's expression softened for a moment, but fear still shadowed her face. If the Galactic Council finds me, they'll erase you too. They made the law because of me. Because of us. They don't want humans to see what we became. Ryan clenched his fists. Then they won't find you. I'll hide you. Laura looked at him in disbelief. You'd break the law. For me? He nodded. If following it means letting a child die, then yes. There was silence between them. The kind that carried heavy truth. But then, the door alarm beeped. Someone was at the entrance. Ryan's heart stopped. He quickly covered Laura with a medical sheet and dimmed the lights. A voice echoed from the comm. Dr. Hale? This is Commander Ruiz. We're conducting a facility check. We've had reports of a signal spike from your lab last night. Ryan's hands shook slightly. Yes, Commander. Just a system glitch, maybe a sensor misread. Nothing serious. Mind if we verify? Galactic Command wants every base checked. Too many strange signals after the war. Ryan swallowed hard. Understood, sir. Give me 5 minutes to secure medical files. He shut off the comm and turned to Laura. Her eyes were wide with terror. They can't see me, she whispered. They'll know what I am. Ryan's brain raced. He looked at the cryochamber in the corner, an old storage pod for biological samples. It was small but big enough for her to fit. Get inside, he said. Don't move. Don't make a sound. Laura hesitated. If they scan, I'll handle it, Ryan cut her off. She crawled into the pod, her small frame trembling. Ryan sealed it and locked the temperature just above freezing. The lights on the pod dimmed. It looked like it was empty. Seconds later, Commander Ruiz and 2 officers entered. Doctor, Ruiz said, scanning the room. We detected a high-energy pattern. Something not human. Ryan smiled nervously. Probably from my bio-experiment. You know how unstable those sensors get when I test new medical nanites. Ruiz narrowed his eyes. Be careful, Hale. The galactic law doesn't forgive curiosity. They scanned the lab for several minutes. Each second felt like a year. When they finally left, Ryan nearly collapsed. He rushed to the pod and opened it. Laura's eyes fluttered open. You didn't tell them. Ryan smiled weakly. Told you. You're safe. For the first time, Laura smiled back. A small, fragile smile. But deep inside, Ryan knew something bigger was coming. Because if the scanners detected her once, they could detect her again. And next time, they wouldn't knock on the door. For the next 3 days, Ryan hardly slept. He kept the lab lights dim and the doors locked, pretending everything was normal. The other scientists thought he was studying medical nanites, but in truth he was studying her. Laura, the alien child who wasn't supposed to exist. Every time she breathed, faint blue light rippled under her skin. Her lungs weren't made of metal like machines. They were growing, shifting, alive in ways no human science could explain. It was as if the metal was part of her blood. Ryan spent hours analyzing her scans. The more he studied, the stranger it became. Her lungs emitted something, a soft radiation that healed tissue instead of harming it. When he placed a wounded lab rat near her chamber, the animal's wounds closed within minutes. This isn't a weapon, Ryan whispered to himself. It's a miracle. But miracles were dangerous things in a world ruled by fear. Laura sat quietly nearby, her legs dangling from the medical bed. She watched him work, her violet eyes calm but sad. "Why are you helping me?" she asked suddenly. Ryan paused. "Because I want to understand, and because you deserve to live." "No one said that to me before," she murmured. "Not even my own kind." Ryan looked at her, puzzled. "What do you mean?" "The Xylar built us to replace the ones who died in the war," she said softly. "They used the bodies of children. They said we were too small to fight, so we would become the fight. We breathe toxic worlds. We heal what war destroys, but we don't belong anywhere." Her voice broke at the end like glass cracking. Ryan felt a heavy ache in his chest. She was created to survive, but never to live. He walked closer and placed a hand gently on her shoulder. "You belong here, Laura, maybe not to them, maybe not to the humans, but you're real. That's enough." Laura blinked up at him, and for the first time her glow brightened, soft, warm, almost human. But peace never lasted long on Epsilon 9. That night, an alert flashed across the colony network. Ryan's screen lit up with red text. "Notice: unauthorized energy signature detected near Sector 9 med facility. All research staff must report to Security Command." Ryan's blood ran cold. They had found her signal again. He turned to Laura. "We have to move, now." She looked frightened. "Where will we go?" "There's an old outpost under the cliffs, disconnected from the main grid. No scanners. We'll hide there until I figure this out." Laura stood, her small body trembling. "They'll come for you too." Ryan smiled sadly. "They already would have if they knew what I'm doing." He packed a few supplies, grabbed his portable scanner, and led her through the maintenance tunnels behind the lab. The corridors were silent except for the distant hum of the colony's reactors. As they walked, Laura whispered, "Doctor, when you looked at me that night, you said my lungs scared you." Ryan glanced at her. "They didn't scare me. They broke me." "Why?" "Because you remind me of what we humans do too," he said quietly. "We create things we don't understand, and then we call them monsters." They reached the old outpost and a cold, dusty shelter buried into the cliffside. Ryan set up a small power cell and the lights flickered on. It wasn't much, but it was safe. For a while, Laura explored the small room, touching the walls and whispering something in her alien tongue. Ryan turned back to his scanner and began another deep analysis. The data from her lungs pulsed in rhythmic waves, almost like music. He adjusted the frequency, and suddenly, faint patterns appeared on the screen. Coordinates, signals, and a symbol. A human symbol. Ryan's heart stopped. It was the logo of the Terran Biotech Division, the same company that helped build the first human weapons during the war. "This can't be right," he whispered. "Your technology, it's human." Laura turned to him, confused. "What do you mean?" "These implants inside you," he said, showing her the holographic display. "They're based on human design. Modified, yes, but the base pattern, it came from us." Laura stared at him, her face pale. "No, our leaders said the humans stole it from the gods." Ryan shook his head. "No, Laura, we made it. We created the technology that changed you." Silence filled the small outpost. The truth hung heavy between them. Laura's voice trembled. "Then you made me?" Ryan's throat tightened. "Not me, but my people, yes. Maybe by accident. Maybe by design." She stepped back, shaking. "You said I wasn't a monster. But if humans made this, then you made the monsters." Ryan couldn't find the words. He wanted to tell her she was still innocent, that she was more human than anyone he'd met. But the guilt crushed his chest. Before he could speak, the alarm blared. A red light flashed over the entrance. They had been found. Laura's eyes glowed brighter. "They're here for me," she whispered. Ryan grabbed her arm. "Then we'll run." But the scanner on his wrist showed something worse, not humans. The life signs approaching were not of this world, and as the ground trembled beneath their feet, Ryan realized the Xylar hadn't come to rescue her. They had come to finish what they started. The outpost trembled as the sound of engines filled the night air. Red warning lights flashed across the cracked walls. Dr. Ryan Hale grabbed his medkit and pulled Lura behind a row of old crates. Outside, through the small glass slit, he saw them, 3 black crafts descending silently like vultures. They weren't human ships. Their wings were curved, their surfaces alive with glowing lines that crawled like veins. Ryan's heart pounded. "The Xylar," he whispered. Lura's face went pale, her eyes reflecting the faint violet glow of her lungs. "They found me," she said softly. "They always find us." Ryan tightened his grip on her shoulder. "We're not giving up." "You hear me?" She didn't answer. Her eyes were distant, filled with a kind of sorrow only those who've been hunted too long could understand. The first craft landed. The air shimmered with static as 3 tall figures stepped out, armored, faceless, their bodies glinting like obsidian glass. Ryan recognized the same patterns carved into Lura's chest. These were not soldiers. They were retrievers, hunters built to erase evidence. He turned to Lura. "Why would your people send killers after you?" Her lips trembled. "Because I'm broken. The others didn't survive the fusion." "I did, I shouldn't have." "Fusion?" Ryan asked. But before she could answer, the outpost door exploded inward with a thunderous blast. The force threw them both to the floor. Sparks rained from the ceiling. Ryan's ears rang as he tried to drag Lura behind a metal beam. 3 shadows entered, scanning the room with eerie precision. Their voices were mechanical, cold. "Target identified. Hybrid designation, Lura 17, containment required." Ryan's hands shook. "They're not here to rescue you," he said. Lura looked at him, tears forming in her glowing eyes. They never were. Before the retrievers could move further, Ryan slammed his fist against a power conduit on the wall. The entire room flickered as backup lights went out, throwing everything into darkness. In the pitch black, he grabbed Lura's hand. "Come on." They ran down a narrow tunnel behind the storage unit, their footsteps echoing on the metal floor. The sound of the retrievers followed, slow, steady, confident. "Doctor," one of the mechanical voices echoed through the tunnel. "Return the subject. This act will be considered treason by the Galactic Council," Ryan shouted back. "Then call me a traitor." They kept running until they reached the cliffside exit. The night sky stretched before them, stars burning bright over the frozen plains. Far below, the valley was covered in silver mist. Lura gasped, clutching her chest. Her breathing was fast and uneven. "I can't keep up," Ryan knelt beside her. "Lura, listen. Whatever those lungs are made of, they're reacting to stress. You need to control it," her voice cracked. "They weren't built for fear." He looked into her eyes. "Then breathe for yourself, not for them." For a moment, she closed her eyes and inhaled. Her lungs pulsed 1, 2, 3, and the glow stabilized. The blue light spread gently across her skin like fireflies in motion. Then something unexpected happened. The retrievers froze mid-step. Their scanners glitched. The lights on their armor flickered wildly. Ryan stared in disbelief. "What did you just do?" Lura looked at her hands, terrified. "I don't know. It happens when I get scared." "My lungs. They talk to machines," Ryan's mind raced. "It's not radiation. It's signal control." He realized it then. The implants weren't just helping her breathe. They were transmitters. They connected to any technology near her, human or Xylar. She wasn't just built to survive. She was built to control. The retrievers rebooted and began advancing again, but Ryan had an idea. "Lura, focus on them. The way you just did. Tell them to stop." Her voice shook. "I can't." "Yes, you can," he said firmly. "You're not a weapon. You're in control." She took a trembling breath. Her eyes glowed brighter than ever before, and the air around her hummed. The retrievers stopped again, this time completely motionless. Their heads tilted upward, lights dimming, and then they fell, silent, lifeless, like puppets with cut strings. Ryan stood frozen. The girl beside him looked just as shocked. I didn't mean to," she whispered. "I told them to sleep." Ryan placed a hand on her shoulder. "You didn't kill them, Lura, you freed them. Whatever you are, it's not a curse." But before relief could settle, a distant roar echoed across the sky. Ryan looked up and saw more ships descending. Not 3, but dozens. The Galactic Council had arrived. He clenched his jaw. They traced the signal. We have to leave. Laura shook her head. They'll destroy the colony if they find me. Ryan hesitated, torn between saving her and saving thousands of humans who had no idea what was coming. Then he made a decision that would change everything. We're not running, he said. We're going to end this. Laura looked up at him, confused. How? Ryan's eyes were cold now, filled with resolve. By showing them what humanity really means. Mercy. He turned toward the rising fleet, his mind already working on a desperate plan. He didn't know if it would save them both or doom them forever. But one thing was certain. The truth about Laura's lungs was no longer a secret. And now, everyone in the galaxy wanted it. The sky above Epsilon 9 burned with light. Dozens of galactic ships hovered like silent ghosts, their blue engines casting eerie shadows over the frozen valley. The storm winds twisted around them, howling like the planet itself knew something terrible was coming. Inside the old outpost, Dr. Ryan Hale worked quickly, packing the few supplies they had left. Laura stood beside him, her silver hair glowing faintly in the dark. Every few seconds her chest shimmered with blue light, the rhythm of her strange mechanical lungs. Ryan, she said quietly. They're here for me. You can still run. He looked up, shaking his head. If I run, they'll burn this entire colony to the ground. I can't let that happen. Her eyes lowered. Then they'll kill you too. Maybe, he said, zipping his med pack. But maybe not if we show them the truth first. She tilted her head. The truth? Ryan took a deep breath. You said your lungs were built to survive anything. That they heal, that they change. But they're also broadcasting something. I think they're linked to human tech, maybe to the Terran biotech systems. Laura frowned. You mean, your people built what's inside me? He nodded slowly. And if that's true, then the Galactic Council's law isn't about peace. It's about hiding that connection. The air hummed suddenly and a voice echoed through the outpost speaker system, sharp, mechanical, and full of authority. Dr. Ryan Hale, you are in violation of Galactic Law 17A. Surrender the hybrid immediately. You have 10 minutes. Ryan's stomach tightened. They've found us. He opened his communicator and typed quickly. There's a small relay station just a few miles east. If I can send a data burst to Earth Command with Laura's scans, maybe someone will listen. Laura touched his hand gently. Even if they do, will they care? Ryan looked at her. They have to. Humanity may be cruel but not blind. They left the outpost through a back tunnel, climbing out into the cold wind. The valley stretched endlessly ahead, silver under the twin moons. In the distance, the communication tower stood tall, their only chance. As they moved, Laura's breathing grew heavier. Her lungs pulsed faster, the light flickering unevenly. Ryan glanced at her in concern. Are you okay? I can feel them, she whispered. The ships. They're calling to me. Like a song I can't ignore. Fight it, he said firmly. You're not theirs anymore. But she shook her head, clutching her chest. They built me to respond to their signal. If they get too close, I'll lose control. Ryan stopped and crouched beside her. Then I'll stop them first. He pulled a small device from his pocket and a pulse jammer. It was week-old, but enough to distort frequencies for a few minutes. He pressed it against her wrist and activated it. The glow under her skin flickered, then steadied. She looked up at him with wide eyes. You muted me, Ryan smiled faintly. Just long enough for us to get to that tower. They ran through the frozen field, wind slicing their faces, boots crunching on the ice. The air above vibrated, ships scanning the surface, their beams sweeping dangerously close. Twice they had to dive behind rocks as searchlights passed overhead. Finally, they reached the tower. It was tall, old, and half-broken, but still functional. Ryan hurried to the control panel and began typing commands. The system resisted. A red warning flashed. Transmission restricted by Galactic Command. Damn it, he hissed. Laura stepped forward, placing her glowing hand on the console. The metal hummed softly under her touch. Maybe I can talk to it, she said. Before Ryan could stop her, her eyes turned bright white. The tower lights flickered and the data stream shifted. The restriction vanished. How did you? I told you, she said weakly. I can talk to machines. Ryan quickly uploaded her medical scans, the images of her lungs and his recordings of the retrievers. The files began transmitting, a faint blue beam shooting up into the night sky. But then the ground shook, A massive explosion echoed across the valley. The first ship had fired. The shockwave knocked them both down. The tower shuddered but continued to transmit. Ryan helped Laura stand. Almost done. Just a few more seconds. From the firelight of the explosion, a dark figure emerged. Tall, armored, and terrifyingly familiar. A Xylar officer. Laura froze. That's Commander Threx. He made me. Threx's voice cut through the wind. Laura 17, you were meant to die in the fusion trials. You are a mistake. Ryan stepped forward, blocking her with his body. She's not a mistake. She's proof that your kind and mine aren't so different. Threx tilted his head. You think mercy will save you? You humans created the first core. We only perfected it, Ryan's heart sank. So it's true. Threx raised a weapon glowing with dark energy. The galaxy is not ready for your kind to unite. The law exists because truth is chaos. Before he could fire, Laura screamed, a raw, powerful sound that shook the air. Her lungs blazed like stars, and the weapon's energy dissolved into light. Threx staggered back, his armor burning from within. What are you doing? I'm not your weapon anymore, Laura said, her voice echoing like thunder. I'm alive. The tower finally sent the last pulse. A message raced toward Earth, the truth now out of anyone's control. Threx fell to his knees, his armor turning to ash. Ryan caught Laura as she collapsed, her glow dimming. He held her close. Laura, stay with me. She smiled weakly. You said humans make monsters, but maybe they can make hope too. Her eyes closed as the ships above began to retreat, their signals breaking apart, disconnected, lost. Ryan looked up at the stars, tears freezing on his cheeks. Somewhere out there, humanity would soon know everything, and the galaxy would never be the same again. The morning came slow and silent. Smoke still rose from the valley where the Xylar ships had fallen. The frozen wind carried the faint smell of burnt metal and ozone. Dr. Ryan Hale sat beside Laura's still body, his jacket wrapped around her fragile frame. Her skin was pale, her glow faint, her breaths uneven, but she was alive. The comms tower stood half destroyed, its top broken, wires sparking in the cold air. Yet the small transmitter light blinked green. The message had gone through. Ryan stared at the horizon, waiting for an answer. For hours there was nothing, only the distant crackle of static. Then suddenly his wrist communicator lit up. Incoming signal, Origin Earth Command. Ryan's heart skipped. He tapped the receiver. A voice came through, distorted but clear. Dr. Hale, this is Captain Mira Voss of the Terran Biotech Division. We received your transmission. Identify your location and the status of the hybrid subject. Ryan stood quickly, shielding Laura from the cold. She's alive but weak. I'm requesting immediate evacuation and medical support. She's not a threat. You need to see the data. It changes everything. There was silence for a moment. Then the voice returned, and colder this time. Doctor, the data you sent has been reviewed. You're in violation of Galactic Accord 17A. Containment protocols are now active. Ryan frowned. Containment? What does that mean? It means, Dr. Hale, that the girl must not survive. The words hit like a blade. Ryan's breath caught in his throat. You can't be serious. She's a child. She's a fusion organism carrying experimental Terran Xylar nanotech. If her signal spreads, it could infect other systems. You've endangered every colony linked to Epsilon 9. Ryan clenched his fists. You're wrong. That infection healed living tissue. It's not a virus, it's life adapting. Life built on forbidden science, the voice said sharply. You will stand down, Doctor. Our fleet will arrive within the hour. Then the signal cut. Ryan stood frozen. For a long moment, the only sound was the wind. Then Laura stirred weakly, her soft voice barely a whisper. They're coming. Your people? Ryan nodded slowly. Yes, and they're afraid of you. She smiled faintly. Then we're the same. I was born from fear too. He looked at her, this child who should never have existed, this being caught between two worlds, and realized there was no place in the galaxy for her. Not among the Xylar, not among humans, but maybe there could be. He lifted her gently and carried her into the broken tower. You need to rest, he said. I'm going to protect you, no matter what it takes. Hours later, the sky cracked open. A massive Terran battleship descended through the clouds, its engines roaring. The sound was deafening, the light blinding. Soldiers dropped from the ship in silver armor, rifles humming with blue energy. "Dr. Hale," a voice shouted. "Step away from the hybrid." Ryan stood in the snow, holding his arms out. "Listen to me." "She's not dangerous. You're making a mistake." The squad leader, a tall woman with a scar across her face, raised her weapon. "Doctor, you don't understand what's inside that thing. It's rewriting code, and not just machines, but DNA." Lura opened her eyes weakly and looked at them. "I never wanted this. I only wanted to breathe." Something about her voice made even the soldiers pause. It wasn't alien. It was heartbreaking sound. Ryan turned toward them, his voice breaking. "She's not a weapon. She's what comes after war. Proof that life can grow from the worst of us." The commander hesitated, her weapon trembling. "You think I want to kill her? Orders come from Earth. They say she's too dangerous to exist." Ryan stepped closer, tears freezing on his face. "Then defy your orders, just this once." The soldiers exchanged uncertain looks. For a second no one moved. Then Laura coughed, her lungs flashing bright blue. The snow around her began to shimmer, turning to crystal. The ground vibrated, machines in the soldiers' suits flickering. "Her signal," one of them shouted. "It's spreading." But Ryan saw something else. The crystals weren't destroying, they were healing. The broken ground, the scorched grass, the twisted metal, everything touched by the blue light began to grow again. Flowers bloomed through the ice. The soldiers stared. Speechless, Laura looked at Ryan, her eyes glowing softly. "It doesn't hurt anymore," she whispered. "I think I can fix things." Ryan fell to his knees beside her. "Laura, no, you'll burn yourself out." She smiled gently. "Maybe that's okay. Maybe that's what I'm meant to do." The commander slowly lowered her weapon. "Doctor, what is she doing?" Ryan looked up at her, his voice full of awe. "She's giving life back." The blue light spread wider, reaching the fallen ships, melting the ice. The air shimmered with warmth for the first time in years. Then, with a deep breath, Laura exhaled one last time. A wave of light that swept across the valley, touching everything. The soldiers fell silent. The machines powered down. The world for a moment was still. Ryan caught her as she collapsed. Her eyes looked peaceful now, her glow fading. "Did it work?" she whispered. Ryan nodded, tears streaming down. "Yes, it worked," she smiled faintly. "Then I'm not a mistake." Her hand went limp. The light faded. Ryan held her close, his voice breaking. "No, Laura. You were the only thing that was right." Above them, the clouds parted, revealing the sun, bright, warm, human. And for the first time, Epsilon 9 felt alive again. The sun rose slowly over Epsilon 9, spilling golden light across the silver plains. The snow that once buried the world now shimmered like liquid glass. Life was returning. Small green shoots pushing through cracks in the ice, air warming for the first time in decades. Dr. Ryan Hale stood at the edge of the valley, his coat fluttering in the morning wind. Behind him, the Terran soldiers were silent. Their weapons hung useless at their sides. None of them spoke, not since the moment Laura had given her last breath. The place where she had died was now a pool of light, glowing faintly blue. The ground itself pulsed like it had a heartbeat. Ryan knelt beside it, his voice soft. "You changed everything, kid." He placed his hand on the warm soil. It felt alive. For a moment he could almost hear her voice, faint like wind whispering through leaves. "I told you, Doctor. I just wanted to breathe." Ryan smiled sadly, his throat tight. "You did more than that, Laura. You made the world breathe again." An hour later, a dropship landed near the old tower. Captain Miravos herself stepped out, the same voice that had ordered Laura's death. Her uniform was pristine, her eyes cold, but as she saw the valley, she stopped mid-step. The scanners on her wrist flickered wildly. "Readings are off the charts," she muttered. "Oxygen levels increased, radiation nullified. This area's regenerating." Ryan turned to her. "She did it. That hybrid organism you wanted to destroy, she healed the planet." Mira looked at him with disbelief. "That's impossible. The core inside her was never meant to—" "It wasn't meant for anything," Ryan interrupted. "That's the point. Life doesn't ask for permission. It just finds a way." For a long moment, the captain said nothing. She stared at the glowing ground, at the small flowers blooming from the frost. Finally, her voice softened. "Where is she?" Ryan looked toward the light. "Gone, but not really. He handed her a small data chip. Her neural core was still active when she went. I saved the final memory sequence. You need to show this to Earth. Mira hesitated, then took it. Dr. Hale, the Council won't like this. The truth about the Terran experiments. It'll destroy what's left of the Alliance. Then let it, Ryan said firmly. People deserve to know what we did and what she became. Mira studied him for a moment, then gave a slow nod. You know, they'll come for you too. Ryan's lips curved into a faint smile. They already did. That night, as the Terran fleet prepared to leave, Ryan stayed behind on Epsilon 9. He built a small marker in the valley, just a stone and a metal plate engraved with simple words. Lura, the girl who breathed life into the dead world, he sat beside it, watching the stars reflect in the pool of light where she had fallen. The glow never faded, it spread slow but steady across the land. The dead soil turned fertile, the air cleaner, the sky brighter. The planet was alive again. And somewhere in that quiet, Ryan felt her presence, not as a ghost, but as a warmth inside the air, the soil, the stars. Weeks later, a message reached Earth Command. It was Lura's last recorded words restored from her neural signal. It played across every screen in the Terran network. I am Lura. I was made to survive your wars, not to live your peace. But I have seen your hearts. You fear what you create, yet everything you make still carries a piece of you, the part that hopes, that heals, that loves. If I am your mistake, then I am also your mercy. The galaxy listened in silence. Some wept, some raged, but no one could deny what they saw. The living proof that humanity's darkest experiment had created something more human than humans themselves. Back on Epsilon 9, Ryan walked through fields now alive with soft blue light. He carried a small plant in his hand, one of the first to grow from Lura's soil. He looked up at the stars and spoke quietly. Maybe the universe will remember you the way I do, not as a weapon, but as a beginning. The wind moved gently like a whisper. Thank you, Doctor. Ryan smiled through his tears. Rest easy, kid. You saved us all. He planted the small flower in the ground beside her stone and stood there for a long time, the night sky above shining brighter than ever before. In the distance, new trees began to rise, glowing faintly with that same blue light. And for the first time in centuries, the humans of Epsilon 9 looked up and saw not a dead world, but a living one. Epilogue. 1 year later, reports from colonies across the system told the same story. The light spreading from Epsilon 9 was healing dead planets, restoring lost ecosystems, cleansing radiation from old battlefields. They called it the Lura effect. Earth scientists couldn't explain it. The Galactic Council couldn't stop it, but Dr. Ryan Hale knew the truth. It wasn't technology. It wasn't alien magic. It was her. The child who had been told she was a monster who chose to become hope instead. He looked up at the sky one last time and whispered, You were right, Lura. Humans do make monsters. But sometimes those monsters save the stars. And as the wind carried the faint hum of her voice through the valleys, Ryan smiled, not as a scientist but as a man who had finally understood what it meant to be human.